many people know this name? Throughout film history, there is one monster whose name is known by every man, woman, and child. A monster who's instantly recognizable whether you've seen one of his movies or not. What's his name? When I was 2 years old, Godzilla was the first word I learned how to spell. My mom put a tape in the VCR. Little did she know, what started as a distraction for a child would become a lifelong fascination. For me, growing up, I had a much different perspective of Godzilla than most people do. I didn't see the campiness or the bad effects. I saw the terrifying monster that the Japanese envisioned. What keeps him alive after all these years? And how did it all begin? Godzilla owes its inception to another iconic monster, King Kong. Kong inspired Japanese filmmakers to create their own giant monster movie. Even the name Gojira is a combination of gorilla and Kujira, the Japanese word for whale. Godzilla was created by Tomoyuki Tanaka, a producer with Toho Studios. Together with director Ishiro Honda, they brought the king of the monsters to life. But more than that, he would be an allegory for Japan's nuclear nightmare. In 1954, Japan was still recovering from Hiroshima and Nagasaki. A scar was left on the country that still hasn't healed to this day. As fate would have it, Godzilla would be born from the atom bomb, the sum of Japan's fears. Tanaka was on a flight to Tokyo when his plane passed over Hiroshima. As he looked at the ruined city below, he was inspired. What if the destruction had been caused not by nuclear weapons, but by a monster created by them? And thus, Godzilla was born. The original film Gojira is a dark and haunting tale about a monster revived by atomic tests. He comes ashore laying waste to everything, a horrible incarnation of nuclear annihilation. The film was a huge success in Japan. An Americanized version was released called Godzilla, King of the Monsters. For me, this was the movie that started it all. Soon, Godzilla found himself battling a myriad of monsters. He fought giant moths, three-headed dragons, and even King Kong himself. But after a while, this led to a golden age of Japanese monster movies, many of which would be dubbed and re-edited for American release. But after a while, well, things got silly. Godzilla lost his menacing guise. He became a hero and a friend to children. Yet these are the movies that played every Saturday morning and captivated me as a child. For me, Godzilla is a dark and sinister creature, a horrifying monster bent on destroying mankind. He's a living nuclear weapon that cannot be defeated. Like Tanaka, that's what I envision. Few movies have managed to capture Godzilla the way that I've always seen him. In a series spanning 6 decades, only twice has he been portrayed as the frightening beast that haunts me in my dreams, even as an adult. Excuse me. Imagine for a moment if Godzilla were real, a gigantic, unstoppable monster turning a city into a sea of fire. A creature capable of destruction 1,000 times worse than 9/11, the mere sight of which would fill people with fear. I often find myself wondering what it would be like if Godzilla appeared. Sirens blaring, his giant silhouette on the horizon, footsteps as he approaches, people running and screaming in terror. Far cry from the comical image most people have. But regardless of how we view him, Godzilla is a force to be reckoned with. One of the biggest stars in the world, he holds the record for the longest-running franchise in film history, with 30 films altogether. He's instantly recognizable. One only has to see his silhouette or hear his trademark roar for the name Godzilla to come to mind. His most recent appearance was in Legendary Pictures' 2014 film. It revived Godzilla for a whole new generation. It also inspired Toho to reboot Godzilla themselves. The 2016 film, Shin Gojira, or Godzilla Resurgence, promises to be a horrible nightmare that will return Godzilla to his frightening roots. Godzilla changed my life. When I look at him, I see more than an actor in a suit. I see a force of nature, like a tornado or a hurricane, a monster born from atomic fire, a symbol of mankind's arrogance and the horrors of nuclear war. For over 30 years, Godzilla has filled me with awe. What keeps him alive? Well, perhaps it's his message of destruction and our own nature to destroy ourselves. Meltdowns in Japan and the ongoing threat of nuclear holocaust prove Godzilla is as relevant today as he ever was. Thank you.